Hello friends and welcome here. My name is Julianne and I'm so pleased that you can join me again here on my little channel on YouTube with my dog, again not understanding that I'm talking to somebody other than him. He is just down here below the camera. I thought I would jump in with a little quick episode this week. Last week obviously was the first part of my LK150 conversion of a pattern, and I haven't quite done too much of that this week. I have done some on it. I will show you a sneaky peek. However, I did not record any of my working on it because it was more of, I guess, a proof of concept piece. It's seeing whether my actual calculations and things actually worked and my directions, etc. So I will be showing you that today. I have also been working on some other things, and because it's the end of the month, it's the last week of June, I thought I would do a bit of a June wrap up and tell you what I have finished. So, well, I mean, not much is actually finished. It's actually mostly works in progress, but I can start with the finished item, and that's a pretty exciting one. And it was one that I wasn't going to do for a start, and then it turned into an obsession and it got finished. So I will start with my river sweater. So if you ever saw, I think it was a whip audit that I did maybe early 2023, I think it was. I found this project and it had actually been munched by moths, and I was really upset about it because it's all cables, as you can see. There's quite a few cables in here. So I basically frogged that, like reskeined and washed the yarn, and I didn't know what I was going to do, whether I was going to recast it on, whether I was going to use the yarn for something different, but I don't even know what it was. Something, I got to be in my bonnet, basically, and I cast this on again. So I cast this jumper on the 28th of May, and I cast it off on the 16th of June. As you can see, there's still a couple of ends just up the top here, but that is basically because I need to fit the neckline. I haven't quite finished that. I basically wanted to get the shoulders mostly seamed so that I can finish my sleeves, and then I just need to, I left these out so that I could either undo them or sew up the neckline a little bit more. This is a pattern by Jennifer Wood, and I got the pattern on Ravelry, and it's, as I said, lots of cables. I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in Sport in Blossom Heather for this one. I have not really tried it on as yet, hence why these haven't been finished, is because I haven't actually tried this on, but it is finished. So I'm really looking forward to finishing the neckline on this and giving it a wash and a block, just so I can see these cables kind of block out and relax a little bit, and get a little bit of drape back in the yarn. It's quite dense. The gauge for this one was quite dense, so I'm hoping that giving it a bit of a wash, and because the fact that the wool had been, a lot of this wool had been knit already, yeah, I'm just hoping that giving it a nice wash and letting it dry and relax will end up giving me a very, very lovely jumper. It's going to be very warm. I know it's going to be warm, and it's pink, and it makes me happy. So that is my one and only finished object for this week, or this month, I guess. All right, and next I have a pair of socks, and these are with yarn that is left over from my Oracle shawl. Did I tell you guys about my Oracle shawl? I can't even remember now. I started knitting socks. So this is my own yarn. This is Lovebird Lane Yarns. It was a test base. It was merino mohair test base that I got in to try. And I've been working on another project this month out of this, and I actually really like the yarn. So I'm thinking I may make it a regular thing. It's merino and mohair, so I think it's, I can't remember what it is, 55% merino, 25% mohair, and 20% nylon. I think that makes 100. But basically I have been, these were my leftovers from my Oracle shawl. So this is my colorway Velvet, and then this is my colorway Solstice. I did a heel flap with contrasting yarn, which is not something that I've ever done before. So that was quite a, what do we call it? An adventure, I guess we'll call it. And I got that far into my second sock and ran out of the solstice colorway. So I do have a new ball in my new Yarn Fortress all wound up, ready to go, but I haven't been working on these socks because I've had another obsession out of this same yarn. So I guess we could talk about that now, because these are just basic vanilla socks, pretty boring. And this is the project that I am talking about. This is a wrap, or a scarf, I guess you could use it as a scarf, called Fall Rising. And I don't even know how I really found this. I think I had 2 skeins of this yarn in the shop. Again, this is the merino mohair. You might be able to just sort of see the sort of halo on the sides from the fluffiness of the mohair. And this was in a newer colorway that I created called Speckled Egg. And I saw these sitting in the shop and nobody was buying them, and I was kind of obsessed with the colorway from the minute that I dyed it. So I kind of went, well, if nobody else wants that, I'm going to take it. And I started looking for patterns and basically found this one, and it's a quite new pattern. I think there's only 14 projects, I think, on Ravelry. This pattern was written by Callie Monster of Monster Knits. I don't know if Monster is her real name or not, but that's what it is on Ravelry. And yeah, so I had, like I said, 2 skeins of this yarn, and I decided to do the large version of the wrap, which doesn't affect the width of the wrap. The wrap is the same whether you're knitting the small version or the large version. I chose the large version because I like to use up as much yarn in my project as I possibly can, although this does not count towards my stash down because, like I said, I pinched it from my shop, so it's new yarn. So yeah, that doesn't count unless you guys say it counts. You could decide that for me if you want, but I'm not going to be doing that on my own. So it has this really lovely lace motif in it, and it's really unusual, and I really kind of liked it. And when I was looking through for projects for this yarn, it was kind of the only pattern that really kind of grabbed me and said knit me. So that's what I did. And it has a provisional cast on. I just did a little crochet, what do you call it? Crochet chain, and started on that, because you will actually pick up and like knit a little leaf on the end, almost like a little tassel on the end of the wrap. But yeah, I've really kind of hammered this. I started this on the 19th of June and it's only the 27th of June, so not even 10 days. And I'm almost at the point where I'm about to decrease for the other end, because I don't know if you can quite tell because the ends are a bit curly, but it is like it increases. It's got a I don't know what you call it. I guess it's like a triangle shape on the end. It's pointy. So I'm on my last repeat. I need to do, I think, 13 repeats or something. I'm on my last repeat of the lace, and then I will start the charts to go back into a point, and then I just put my leaves on the end, and then I think I'm done. So this may get done this month, who knows. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't count for the stash down anyway, so I thought I would just show it to you. And I really like the yarn, like the subtle kind of speckles, like slightly reddy brown, with kind of that coffee, almost soft coffee latte colour in the background. So yeah, I was a bit obsessed with that yarn, and I'm still obsessed with that yarn, and I'm obsessed with this project. It's been mostly what I have been working on, honestly, since I finished that river sweater. So I have 2 more things to talk about. 3 more things actually to talk about. One is a whip. I will just reach down and get it. One is a whip that I have had going for a very long time. I actually cast this on, I think, January last year, I think, if I remember rightly. And this is a striped sweater. Another pattern by Andrea Mowry. And this was from some very special Vaughan Vine yarns. I was able to buy a really long time ago one of her palette sets that was to make the exploration station. So if you've ever seen Kristen's exploration station shawl, she made palette kits. She called them the palette kit. And I purchased one of those intending to make the exploration station, but I don't wear shawls really, and because I had 4 skeins of yarn, I thought that's enough to make a jumper for myself. So as you can see there, some lovely yarn, and though I am worried about my yarn that I have left. So each ball that I have left is only about this big. Compared to my head, because the problem is because the stripes are so far apart, I've been cutting yarn with enough tail to weave in as I go, because I really don't see how you can carry the yarn up like 3 stripes on the inside. It seems a bit dangerous, I suppose. So I have stopped the body and I have started a sleeve. So I thought I would get both my sleeves done, because then if I have to crop the body to a certain length, then so be it. At least I have my sleeves, and that is why I have since put the body on hold and started the sleeve. So I'm only on my first sleeve at the moment. It's a bit of a slog because you basically knit, I think it's 8 row rounds. You basically knit that really quickly on a sleeve. So I feel like I'm always decreasing, which is fine. I don't mind doing sleeve decreases, but it's trying to calculate sleeve decreases and also rounds of colour, and trying to remember, I need to do a decrease, and oh shoot, I need to change my colour. So it is a little bit taxing on the brain, but the fact that it's just straight stockinette in the round does help with the difficulty of that. Okay, so I have 2 things left, and I will start with the final knitting item, which is my weekender sweater, which you saw the beginnings of last week with my swatch and my spreadsheet and everything. So I have finished the back, and I've come across a couple of things that I will need to sort of look into and adjust and things like that. So I'm glad I did the back first. I did drop a stitch, which is kind of annoying. Obviously when I was re-latching up my rib or something, I've somehow dropped a stitch, which is kind of annoying. However, I think most of this worked out how I was expecting it to. So I did my short rows for the shoulders. I've got my markers for my underarm, so I know where to have my sleeve. Got my ribbing. So as if you recall from last week, if you saw that video, the LK150, which I knit this on, does not have a dedicated ribber. You cannot get one, it's not made. So all of the ribbing, either you have to knit it by hand or you have to reform it like I have. So basically every column of knit stitches on this side, because technically this is the back, this would be the front if if it wasn't a reverse stockinette sweater. So every one of these bars, including that middle slip stitch section, has all been done by hand. I started this yesterday and I got up to the underarms. So where that marker is, that was the first thing I did today, was to put my marker in for the underarms. So I got that far in a day. I did have to, I had no end of trouble casting on because for my size, at my gauge, I needed 127 stitches. The knitting machine has 150 needles, so I'm basically using the whole bed. There's like 12 needles available either side of where my work is. The cast on for this, I did an E-wrap cast on so that it would be a solid cast on, because other cast-ons on knitting machines, it is a, what's the word? Like it will unravel if you don't have a fixed cast on. So I did a E-wrap, which is a very popular cast on. I'm quite happy with it. I think it looks quite good. I mean, a couple of things were a bit weird because, like, this is my first time doing this. I'm a very new machine knitter. So I tried to do my bind off here, which actually looks really nice if you look at it from the stockinette side. See, it looks this nice little V's. But because I'm using the wrong side as the right side because it's a reverse stockinette project, the cast off is a bit more bobbly than it normally would be, which is fine. The only other thing that really kind of I didn't think of beforehand was with my short rows, because my wraps end up on my right side instead of the wrong side, so I think I'll have to adjust that for when I do my front piece. But that's all stuff that I will discuss in the next video. I just wanted to show you guys that I have been working on it. I have my first panel done and it only just came off the machine this morning. Like I said, I did up to the arm yesterday and then I've done the rest today. But yeah, I thought I would give you guys a sneaky peek so you can see how I'm going. And if you didn't see last week's video, that is the project that it was about. So go and check it out if you want. I'll stick it up in the link. You can watch it if you haven't already. And finally, I've been sewing, guys. Like I said on Instagram, I did share the other day a little picture while I was still getting my fabric sorted, that I think this could very well be some of the first sewing that I've done this year. I might have done some real early, like I think that quilt, I don't know if I showed the quilt on the vlog, but I know I shared it on Instagram. I finished a quilt possibly late last year or early this year. I can't actually remember when it was done, but this is probably the first new quilt top that I have started this year, because I know that other one was started last year. And basically it is kind of an homage to a different pattern. I watched a video of At Home with Misty on the Missouri Star Quilt Company YouTube channel, and the pattern that she did was called Squared Up, I think is what it was called. So I kind of used that as a bit of a jumping off point. And I had this Fat Eights set of Tilda fabric. This was their Maple Farm range. And I've been wanting to do something with it for a while because it's really pretty. And I had this grey already in my stash. I had the Fat Eights already in my stash. And I saw the Squared Up and I thought it was quite cool. And I was gonna make it like what Misty showed in the video, but these Fat Eights, I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest, because they said that the Fat Eights were 10.8 inches by 22 inches or something, but the usable area for most of them was actually less than 10 inches, because the selvages for some reason were huge, like they took over an inch. So most of my pieces I wasn't actually able to cut, because the pattern I think was for 10-inch squares. I actually wasn't able to cut 10-inch squares from most of these Fat Eights, which I was really a little bit annoyed about. But I made do with what I had, and I basically cut squares. I can't even remember what size I cut them, but instead of being squares, I actually have rectangles. They are slightly rectangular. So I wasn't able to follow kind of the layout that was on the Squared Up pattern. So mine, I've just got them going one way and the other. So if you can, stripes are up this end on there, stripes are the other end there. So this now just needs borders, which would be just more 2.5-inch strips around the edges, and then I can sandwich it and quilt it. But I don't have a table big enough anymore that I can do that on. I do have a table upstairs that I've been doing my knitting and stuff on, and my sewing on, but it's got things that can't be moved on either end. It's going to take me like half an hour just to move everything, find a place for it, because my house is too small and I have too much stuff. Have you heard me say that before? Maybe. So yeah, when I used to have the table downstairs and I would work on it, I could flip the, excess quilt or whatever over the back of the desk, and I can't really do that where it is now, because then because the desk is right up against a wall and I don't have space to pull it back from the wall. So I'm thinking I might need to tell my mother-in-law, I'm coming over to your house and I'm going to use your dining table, so I can get that all like borders and sandwiched and everything over there where she's got a bit more space. But we will see how that goes. But that is it. That is all I have to show you today. I think all there's left to say now is all of those good things. Please do give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. I have a link down below if you'd like to buy me a coffee, and I have all my socials down in the description as well, including for Elvis. And yeah, if you want to see more from me, head over to the socials and make sure that you're subscribed, and I will see you in the next video.